Revolver Underground.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's D-Rock, Revolver Underground, hanging out at Toxic Tuesdays yet again. I cannot get enough of this place. It is at Velvet Margarita Cantina here in this little town that I like to call Hollywood. Yeah, I'm here with some Hollywood. I'm here with some folks from the 9 Electric band, and these guys. Did you like that? Was that good? Was that all right? I just came up with that. It was awesome.
That was awesome. The 9 Electric band.
The 9 Electric band.
That's for our, when we become like a jam band.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness, this is going to be fun. I'm going to like this. So tell me, your name?
I'm Micah Electric.
I'm Mikey Lopez.
There it is right there. And I'm E-Rock, for those of you who didn't understand what anything said. What we're going to talk about right now is, first of all, you guys had a show tonight.
We did.
And it was amazing, I hear.
It was pretty awesome.
You went there? I'm kind of a loser. You're going to know this. Yeah, I'm not on that list, apparently. That's fine.
You know, you got to get on everything in Hollywood. You just moved to this town, so
I did, yeah.
I'm going to give you a little word of advice for somebody who's been here for about 10 years.
Give me a lot.
Everything about this town is getting on the right list.
It's all
Get
about
on the
lists.
list, D-Rock.
All about the lists.
You got connections.
We'll talk. Yeah, to my iPod.
Untether your iPod and get on the right list.
Fair enough. I'll look into that. We'll make some stuff happen. Here's the deal. How was the show, first of all? Did it excite you?
Yeah, dude, it was a killer show. We actually had a good crowd tonight on a Tuesday night. It was our first time playing the Whiskey in a little bit. Well, the last time was with American Head Charge about a year and a half ago.
Nice.
Yeah, they're killer guys. We had a great tour with those guys.
Sorry.
You're all right.
And yeah, we have pretty girls stumbling on us because they're drunk. And that's what happens on Cahuenga Boulevard in Hollywood.
I am not angry.
Nah, it doesn't happen in Wisconsin.
Ever.
So
No, it doesn't. I've been there and it does not happen.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. So yeah, it was a good crowd Tuesday night, but we fucking had a fun time over there. Everybody seemed to love it. And the other thing that was cool about it was that it was a really good mix of bands. It's a really fun show.
Okay, so let me tell you this then. All right, let me ask you this. What's the best kind of band do you like to play with as far as genre goes? Because you guys are a little bit more on the edgy side of rock.
Yeah.
More my style. What's a good? What would that be? What's the definition of that?
It's hard to define because some people define us more by the electronics, so they think that we're just about like the Rob Zombie's, 9 Inch Nails, and electronic side of the world, like Rammstein's and stuff. But we also have a real aggressive side, like a Rage Against the Machine edge and that kind of thing, where we kind of just pound it and we kind of go for it, and people kind of gravitate to that too. So it's kind of we're kind of in the middle of that kind of thing, and just kind of doing our own thing.
Right, rock and roll.
Yeah, you gotta be wild. You know what I mean? Like, the way I look at it is like, when I go to a show, I mean, obviously you want a band to play well. You know, you want them to do like cool songs and like do a good show. But it's like if it's not really wild, like I don't really get into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
so you probably,
it depends on what I'm seeing, I guess.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't go. You probably wouldn't go to a country show.
Well, no, that's the thing. I've been to everything. I used to work in concert production, so I've seen everything. So I expect, certain genres do certain things.
Right.
I mean, so when you go to a country show, you should expect country.
Right.
I mean, like now if somebody exceeds country and like does it like a little bit different, like like Johnny Cash was country, but he's
edgier.
He's edgier than
exactly.
Brad Paisley or Faith Hill or Faith Evans.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Actually, no, it kind of does.
Okay, that's fair.
So,
that's true.
So, but if you go and when you go to metal, you kind of expect to see metal.
Yeah.
And then when you go to like rock, arena rock, you expect to see arena rock. So if you're gonna like kind of like do a hybrid of genres, you need to see that, and that's kind of what this band does. This band does, like, we're not a heavy metal band by any means, but we have the aggression of a heavy metal band at times, and then we have the arena rock of a rock band, and then the electronic aspect of like an EDM crowd. So what I think the common factor in those three things is wild.
So how did you? Yeah. But how did you guys come up with this concept of music? I mean, what was the meaning?
We were influenced by a variety of different artists. I mean, there were other artists doing it in their own way, and we just had another way of envisioning it. I mean, Rammstein's been doing it, 9 Inch Nails has been doing it. All these bands have been doing it for a while, but we wanted to modernize that and do it in our own way.
The only
so we took more influences from Prodigy and Pendulum and Infected Mushroom and combined it with those other bands that were already doing it and still kept it rock.
The only band that I feel like is really doing what 9 Electric does, and they've been doing it for a couple years now, coupled with their old sound and what they're doing new, is Korn.
Nice.
New Korn is a lot like what this band does, and not like we sat down and were like, hey, let's sound like new Korn. It just kind of happens to be like that. You know what I mean? Like,
interesting.
They sound like Korn still, and we don't sound like Korn per se, but it's the combination of an aggressive rock metal band and electronic undertones that are making like the same vibe. When I hear somebody, like they're the only band that reminds me of like what we're doing.
Right.
You know?
Well, I was telling you this earlier, but I saw one of your shows at House of Blues a few months ago, something like that, and I was impressed. I mean, I'd never heard of you before. I just moved here. I'm new, and I was like, I like these guys. These guys are freaking awesome. So.
And then you thought that every band in Hollywood was going to be that good, and then you were really.
I did, and I cried for like a week straight.
Yeah, I knew.
I was curled up, fetal position.
Like, I moved to the right place, and then you saw other bands. You're like,
and I was I mean, I think that's where my drug habit started, right there. Yeah.
Hopefully.
The ibuprofen is where it's all at, right there.
We try to put on a good show. I mean, we take a lot of time in the studio to make everything, just right in the studio with the electronics and the rock and all that shit, and getting the right choruses and, making it really big and fleshed out in the studio environment. But then when we play show, it's all about the energy, the lights, the girls, like all the stuff that we put into a show that any big band puts into a show. I just saw Motley Crue over the weekend, and those motherfuckers are like 100 years old, but they put on a great show. Yeah. That motherfucker can barely walk as he plays guitar, but he puts on a good show. Or at least the people around him put on a good show. And to me, it's always about putting on a good show. Get your audience engaged.
It's important. Like, what a lot of I think a lot of artists don't necessarily understand, or maybe they do understand it, but maybe it's not their thing. But at the end of the day, if you're putting on a show, if you have cool songs, you have good music, cool songs, and you put on a show, that can really last a long time. You know what I mean? Like, you notice, like, all right, he mentioned Motley Crue, just saw Motley Crue. Motley Crue's been around for a long time now, like a good 20, 25 years, right?
Yeah.
Something right now. So they've actually been able to turn what they do into a show, like a Vegas show, where they can do it for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks or a month or whatever it is at Vegas. And so can Def Leppard, and so can Britney Spears, and so can Celine Dion, and so can Ellen John, all these people. So it's like once you've actually worn out like your street welcome, and you're like, we've been pushing the envelope for a lot of years, and people are getting bored of us, whatever, and you have like somewhat of a review. Is what's that's called when you put on a show? It's called a review.
Yeah.
You can take that and do something different with it. And you know what? Like, we're like, not only are we're clearly musicians and we're artists and we care. Like, why do you keep doing this? Because we love it. Like, we're artists, right? But it's also a business, and we don't want to fail at the business. Like, we want to make some money. We want to just so what we're doing is already a show. We're doing a show like not to the caliber of Motley Crue, just because we don't have the budget, obviously, but we're getting there.
It's budget.
And we
have the vision for it.
We're putting on a big show. We're putting on a big show in a place like the Whiskey or the Roxy or this place or that place, and people are acknowledging it. And we're going to keep pushing the envelope, and we just know that it's going to catch on big. It already has. We haven't been a band very long.
Well, and that's
3 years.
Yeah, no, I attest that. I think that's I've seen your show. I know that it's awesome. You guys really do put on a. I'm not just saying that. That's
It's like, and that's not to say like other people are lazy or whatever. Like, if
everybody has their own version of what they need
if they don't want to do that, like they don't want to do that. It's fine. But it's like, we're setting that precedent because that matters to us. And it's not like I said, like not we're looking forward to going like, hey, we're gonna do this in Vegas. But as time has gone along, we've like, hey, wait a minute, we can do this in Vegas.
Yeah, but
we can
another thing that happened last year is that we toured a lot. Last year we did over 120 shows.
Wow.
And we toured with Static X and a bunch of other bands, and they did a good show and they did their thing.
Right.
But night after night after night, the fans were blown away. They came to our merch booth and told us specifically, we were blown away by how much show you brought to an opening slot. And we're like, yeah, man, thank you for appreciating that, because we are an opening band, but we're never going to act and look like an opening band. We're going to always act and look like the headliner, because that's how we feel. Yep. It's like when you're in an office job, you dress the part of the position above where you're at, and you dress for success. You dress for that next level promotion. We're already fucking doing that with our show, with our look, with everything that we do to combine it. It's not just, we get up there and play our songs. We get up there and play our songs, but we have also got synchronized video to our set.
Yes.
Who the hell does that in an opening slot? Nobody, right? So we've got synchronized video in an opening slot. We've got strobes that we, have time to the show. Everything's synchronized and worked out, and we're just trying to elevate it and set the bar at a really high level as an opening act, because we know that when we get to the position of being a headliner, it's going to go through the fucking roof.
So let me go down this vein real quick. You have all of this stuff that you put on a fantastic show, but how do you afford to do all of this stuff? Like, you guys got to be costly.
Well, it can be depending on how you do it. There are ways around things, and we've found a lot of those ways to do it on the cheap. And I mean, honestly, we do things a lot by sitting there and hashing it out and like, okay, well, how can we do this cheaper? How can we do that cheaper? How can we do it so if we break that part when we're on tour, because things break as you go on tour, and we need to replace it, how can we do it so that way if it breaks, it won't matter? How can we do that if it breaks? I mean, there are a few things that are costly along the way, but we try to minimize those as much as possible. So that way if things break or get lost or stolen or whatever it is, we're not completely shut out.
Right.
And we've had a few things break along the way, and you know, thank God we were able to afford to replace those things. They weren't the most expensive parts, but there are some things that are expensive, and then other things that we keep as low as possible cost-wise. We don't have video walls like Nine Inch Nails, but we do have video.
Well, we actually,
and
but we know how
cheaper.
to stretch the budget too. Like, you know what I mean? We know, like I said, I have a really extensive production background. Micah worked in production, Ron's done some production. If you know like kind of what you're what you're trying to do, and how you can do it, and what the best way is to pull it off in said venue, and usually like like around here like a club, you can, if you take the time and you care, you can make it look really good. And like if you're just gonna be lazy and it's like just rely on the house light guy and not put anybody down, house light guy. Just like you're in Star Search or some shit, you don't have any stuff. Like, don't put any, don't bring anything to the table. Really, it's like, well, then
Then you're going to be run of the mill like everybody else.
Do venues? Do they care that you're bringing all this stuff?
Yes, that's a good question. Actually, when we were on tour, a lot of times they would give us a bit of a hard time about setting up the video in particular because they just thought that it was going to be a burden on them, or they thought it was going to be a liability because we hang it from the rafters or wherever we hang it from. So we did get some resistance here and there because we weren't a headliner on those tours.
We just talk them into it and just go like, hey, we know what we're doing, and we're really self-sufficient, and they're cool about it. Like once they know that you know what you're doing, they're cool. Because one of the things they'll say a lot of times are like, well, we've had other people come in here and they don't know what they're doing. I'm like, well, that's them. You know what I mean? Like,
this is us.
Yeah, so but like, you know what? You can easily give up when they go like, well, no, we don't want you to do that. And just be like, okay. Well, we
don't really give up on anything.
Yeah. We
push for everything.
played, okay, this band has probably played, I guess like 100, probably like a little bit more than 150, 160 shows. And one of them, like one year we played 100, like last year we played 100 shows, and so
it's a lot of shows.
Yeah, but like we haven't been a band for 3 years. Like we're under 3 years. We're still under 3 years right now. But the thing is, we've only done one show without like our screen and all that crazy. Like,
why
all
was
that
that?
stuff.
What happened?
Just too small of a
they
venue.
Couldn't fit it in there.
Fair
Like, so like they just don't do it. I'm like, all right, we won't do it. You know what I mean? But every other place we do it, and like we're just like we're doing it. We go up, we get a ladder, we go up in the rafters, we hang the projector from like how many okay, it sounds like shit talking, but like how many bands just show up and like they just put their fucking gear up there and they just play. Like we're literally like hanging up in the rafters,
You're putting on a show,
a video screen.
It takes a long time to set this shit up. Like people don't realize.
That's the thing with production background.
And we won't not do it.
Yeah. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
But people really don't realize. People are more amazed, like you were to some degree, at how do you afford to synchronize the video to the songs. They don't even think about the fact that how did you get that projector up there?
Yeah.
How did you get that screen up there? How many hours were you here beforehand setting all that shit up?
Like with the whole thing.
It takes hours and hours to do all that bullshit.
Yeah, you gotta think
do it
about
when you're
that.
on tour, night after fucking night after night after night after night.
And you do it like we're doing it ourselves and stuff like that. And it's like there's like some testy moments and stuff like that. But it's like we're pretty like good with it. You know what I mean? Like we don't. It doesn't really get too ugly. You
just got to give up on sleep when you're on tour. It's just you just got to go.
You just care. You
suck
care
the
enough,
energy drinks down.
You care enough, and actually, like at the end of the day, like I guess it doesn't really matter. I think like I really think this is like it isn't. I'm not really like concerned about what does somebody think. Like I mean, I do care. Like does some label care about this, or does some booking agent think this, or does some manager think this? I mean, you want them to like it. But at the same time, it's like before they give a shit, I want to know that we like it, that we felt good about what we did.
Our standards are so hard. We're so hard on ourselves that we know that if we think we did a good job, we probably impress the shit out of most other people.
Right.
Because we're real tough on ourselves.
Well, but that's the thing. Like I never, and it's not a reflection on you. It's just I just moved here. And I'm new to the scene. I just heard about you, and I went to the show at House of Blues, nonetheless. And I see these dudes on stage just having a great freaking time, and I'm like,
it's a party.
They're having a great time. I'm gonna have a great time. That's how it needs to be. I'm so sick and tired of these bands bands just coming up and just nonchalantly having a freaking show. I don't
where
like
it looks
that.
like a
It's so
rehearsal.
annoying. I don't care what genre you are. I don't give a crap. It's so annoying to me. And just like, have a freaking good time.
That's how we
just
feel.
enjoy the show.
Yeah.
But that's what I like about you guys.
And that's what it gets described as all the time. Even tonight, 2 or 3 business people
Yeah.
said to me, "Oh man, it's like you could bringing a party to the stage." It's always like that. That's how we bring it. We write the music like that, so we make sure that the stage looks like that as well.
That's amazing, and that's how it's got to be.
Can we?
Yeah. Okay. So last question. Some advice that you would give to indie artists, new artists that are up and coming. What advice would you
My
give them?
advice would be make sure you're making music that's true to your heart. Don't just do it because you think it's going to sell 1 million records. Make sure that what you're doing will do well business-wise, but also as a genre and type of music that you actually like. And B, make sure you only actually are doing this business because you really love it, because it's going to be really, really hard.
Yeah.
Every single block that comes up in your way is going to beat you down a little bit, and you have to really have a passion for it to continue on.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I would say whatever amount you think you're doing is enough. Do like about 500% more than that, and that might be enough.
Right. That's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's a good
and,
advice.
And then you have to be I think you have to be passionate about what you're doing and smart, and then kind of be able to play the game of like, you know, you're an artist and you're a businessman. Because if you're only an artist, unless you have like the most amazing business team behind you that you can trust, it could get scary for you. You know what I mean? Because I just think a lot of people don't know what the fuck they're doing. I mean, some dude who can't go up on stage and doesn't know how to like plug in his amp, chances are he might get taken to the cleaners by somebody. You know what I mean? If he's really good at what he's doing and somebody's like, you can see it, they'll fuck him over. So it's like, I think you need to be multifaceted. You need to be just like you should be in your normal life per se. Or in a marriage, like you know how people think like, you know, marriage or their job is like the pinnacle, the be all and all of like what life is. Well, so is your music life. It's you should know all those things. You should know.
Yeah, know as much as possible.
Yeah, know as much as possible.
sure.
Be aware of everything. You know what I mean? And don't be caught up in a moment of like, oh man, I was like a fucking dork forever, and like now it's these chicks who would never fuck me want to fuck me, and I'm like, I don't pay attention to anything. Well, you're gonna get hosed, man. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, well, fuck those girls, have a good time, but like wake your ass up tomorrow, or the next day, and like know what the fuck you're doing. Or the rug will get pulled out for you.
Absolutely.
And I got one more thing to add before we go.
Sure.
We have a new album coming out in the spring. This is our debut album called Control.
So this will be 2014.
2014.
Okay.
It's an album called Control. Everybody thought it was coming out in the fall. We pushed it back.
Why? What happened? What's
Pushed
going
it back
on?
just because we changed management. We have a
Powerful
new
people said
setup,
fair enough.
more setup, more involved setup. We wanted to do a couple things to set it up properly for the right
wanted
kind of
it done
release. We want it released right. Yes.
Fair enough.
And we're doing a bigger release than we thought we were going to, so that takes a little more time to set up.
That's awesome.
So everybody look for Control in spring of 2014.
Where do we find you online?
Oh, it's 9electric.com, but find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/9electricfb. Excuse me.
Just it doesn't matter. You can put
Yeah, you just
Google it, right?
If you put in 9 and E in
It'll
Facebook,
come right
it
up.
comes right
It'll pop up. All right, fair enough,
You know
guys.
what? You know what I think about that? If people can't find us on the internet, they're
They don't
really
need
sad.
to listen to you. Yeah,
Well,
they
it's
don't,
like,
they don't,
you know, you
they don't
find,
deserve you.
dude, I can find anything on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. If I
Fair
can
enough.
find midgets who will do what I need them. Oh no, never mind. That's a different time.
There it is right there. Thanks, guys, so much. I appreciate you hanging out.
Dude, E-Rock,
All right.
thank you very much.
Not a problem.